Yes, everyone, you have indeed come to the right place. This is the Quarantine Zone. Welcome on Facebook, welcome on Twitch, welcome on Twitter, welcome on YouTube. It's a very special Quarantine Zone today because it's a double QZ. I have not one, not one and a half, but two amazing musicians joining me live. Over here, we've got Mr. Dave Manington, bass player, band leader, sideman, composer, father, husband, son, runner. Um, very quick runner, very quick runner, I might add. 10K in 45 minutes, not bad, Dave. And also a giant, but we've scaled him down a little bit. Yeah, and yeah, runner, walker, swimmer, and over here we've got the amazing, the one and only ferocious genius, who is Justin Brown, joining us from all the way over in California. Thank you very much, chaps, for joining me. How are you both doing, Justin? How are things over in California? How are you doing, man? And what are you up to at the moment?
Well, things are good on this side, nonetheless. Family. I've been spending a lot of time with them these days, and yeah, as far as like the pandemic goes, things are starting to slow down. Of course, still a lot of work to do, and there's still some uncertainty about COVID itself, but things have been opening up slowly but surely. And yeah, I'm just been kind of focused on family, health, and
Hmm.
here and there making music as much as I can. But it's been bliss. It's been bliss. I'm very thankful, you know.
Great. And Dave, how are things up in Walthamstow, man?
Yeah, I guess it's the same up here. We've been having a lot of family time that we didn't expect, and a lot more time to write and do other things, you know.
Awesome.
So yeah, gigs are starting to happen very slowly, but things coming in. So hopefully, fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah, that's it. A couple of things in for June for me, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Justin, I met you really, really briefly years ago at the Edinburgh Jazz Festival. I was there with Corey Henry. I was doing a gig. He was like a special guest with my band, and we had a rehearsal, and then we went out for a curry, and then our concert was the next day, and we realized Ambrose was in town. And so we were like, okay, this is amazing. So we went down to the Spiegel tent in Bristow Square, if anyone from Edinburgh is watching. And we caught your gig. I think it was you, Sam, and Harish. And we had our minds blown. It was such a beautiful gig. And then right at the end, Corey just walked up and started talking to you guys because I think he knows maybe Ambrose or something. Um, so yeah, we had very quick introductions and stuff then. But unbeknownst to me, I had actually been watching you on a YouTube video for many years before that. It's the most ridiculous YouTube. It's you and Manu Katché on drums, Pino Palladino and Michelle
Oh,
Cello on bass, Gerald Cleaver on piano. It's just completely insane. I've actually got it here. Just so we watch like a couple of minutes, so that if people want to check this out, this is a really great performance.
oh wow, man.
You remember this?
I sure do. Yeah, this was in Paris,
Right.
and wow. Yeah, we were on. I was on tour with Gretchen Parlato,
Oh, great.
and I believe this was pretty set up last minute at the end of the tour. I think she
Yeah.
might have been a guest on the show, and Michelle was a guest as well. And Michelle's idea that we all come together at the end and just kind of jam out, and yeah, it was such a surreal experience because of course, Michelle is legendary to me,
Yeah.
musically and just as a human being. And for it to come together naturally, you know, like that out of nowhere was so surreal. Like I remember being kind of doing the sound check, and I looked up one time, and I was just like, man, what is happening? So in sound check, Pino was just playing bass. You know,
Yeah.
Pino was playing bass the whole time, but during the performance, I think I kind of lost my mind when Michelle picked up the bass, you know, during a solo moment or a moment of improvisation. She picked up the bass, and I was like, I mean, you got to be kidding me. These are the two greatest bass players of our time right now playing together, you know, and I was just so humbled to be a part of that, and for that to have come together like that, you know, was a really special moment. It was unrehearsed.
Wow.
I believe that was the case. We were in town and we did a song with Gretchen on the show, and it was Michelle's idea that, like, hey, we're all here, let's just all jam. You know,
Great.
do you know? But I know Butterfly. Do you know Butterfly? It just became something that, yeah, a moment in time I'll never forget. You know.
Yeah. Oh man, it sounds great.
Yeah. What was Manu Katché doing there? Was he playing with Michelle?
Well, he actually, he's the host of the show. I can't really recall the name of the TV show right now, but
is it One Shot Not?
Apparently, yeah, One Shot Not. There you go. There it is. Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, it was like a weekly thing, I believe, that was broadcasted, and it was different guests, musical guests, that, you know, he would bring on. They would perform, and he would interview them. You know, so yeah, that was really cool. I don't think the show is happening anymore, so it was cool to experience something like that. And I think that was a little over 10 years ago. So
right.
know,
yeah,
being kind of in the TV world was definitely different and new for me.
Mm.
You know, to kind of take part in, you know, an experience. But yeah, awesome. That was a cool tour. It was Alan Hampton, Gerald Clayton, and Gretchen Parlato, and we did a few shows over in Europe. But yeah, that was great. That was awesome, man. It was some heavy nostalgia.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to kick things off with the first video, but just very quickly, Justin, Ernesto Simpson sends his warm regards. He's one of our...
Yeah. Ernesto, man, much love. Man, that guy, oh man, if you guys only knew how big of an inspiration Ernesto. But Simpson, man, much love, dude. I hope we can come together and hang out sometime soon.
Yeah, next time you're
Simpson's
in London,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. We Ernesto, hopefully we're going to play in June, right? We'll talk about that. But all right, let's go to the first video. So this first video is a piece called Parallel People. By me, it was kind of like a two-part suite, but the pieces just became more and more separate. And yeah, it's from my 2015 album Zero Sum World, but it's refracted through the minds of these beautiful cats with me. So I hope you enjoy Parallel People, and then we're gonna have a bit more of a chat. We've got loads of questions for superstar guest Mr. Justin Brown and questions for Dave, and it's gonna be great. But yeah, lots of comments and all that, encouraged. And any questions, send them in the chat, and I'll forward them to the guys. So this is Parallel People. Hope you like it. Yeah, nice drum solo, Justin.
Yeah, great.
When you sent me the stems
Man,
back,
I was gonna say beautiful sound to Dave. You know,
Oh, thanks very much.
compliments.
I
Laying
agree.
it down for everyone
Yeah,
else to put shred over. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, folks. Darren Williams is the amazing mix engineer that mixed these tracks. So these
Great.
will be on YouTube, and the audio will probably be better rather than a live stream. So please do go and check them out. And if any musicians need stuff mixed, Darren, as you can hear, makes things sound great. He works out of the Den studio, which is his spot, and we are very, very grateful to him for his support of this project. Anyway, Justin, man, when you sent me the stems back for that one, you were like, "Yo, and here's the stems, tricky music," and I was like, "Okay, good. I'm glad he said that, because it's definitely tricky for me." And lots of cats in London say the same thing. So I'm glad it's not just us mere mortals that feel that way. But okay, a couple of questions for you, Justin. There's so much I want to ask you about. Kenny Garrett, Juilliard, Charles Altura, loads of stuff. But maybe it might be nice for you to tell us a little bit about Newsy, because that's such an amazing project. I've really been enjoying listening to it recently. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, starting with Kenny Garrett and Juilliard is funny because you know, during that time, I actually dropped out of Juilliard, and I wanted to pursue the musical career and, you know, be able to have the opportunity to play with my peers and mentors, people I looked up to. And Kenny Garrett was one of the first gigs that I got while I was in school. I would say a year into New York, and coincidentally, you mentioned Corey Henry, and he was also a member of that band. That was the first time I actually had met Corey Henry.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a beautiful experience. You know, that was kind of like the Kickstarter to it all. And Charles Altura is a great friend. You know, he's a brother to me. I've been knowing Charles over 20 years.
Wow.
And just a beautiful human, you know. But I think Nayuzi coincides within that, you know, as far as like camaraderie and friendship. You know, that was a project where, you know, for one, the guys in the band, you know, I really, to this day, feel really connected to them, you know, as men and as brothers. You know, I've learned a lot from them, and I just felt like it made sense, you know, for the music, you know, because they were the ones I was around, you know, throughout my life experience at that time. And yeah, it was an idea, you know, as far as, you know, Nayuzi means black, you know, so I am a black man, you know, I'm drawn to the color black a lot. I like wearing black. But it's also just an idea to leave the person to build their own experience around it, or, you know, I really just wanted to be honest, you know. I really wanted it to be something that someone can gravitate to and relate to, you know, on a musical level and spiritual level. And I was just happy to be a vessel for that, you know, because there was a lot of things that I had to prepare myself for that I wasn't prepared for, as far as like you know, being an artist, being the front man, and when it came down to recording, there was a lot of things about studio mixing and engineering that I learned and didn't know about, and there was also a side of the business that I didn't know. So I take that as a overall, not a stepping stone, but a root. You know what I mean? It's like a seed planted in a tree that's gonna grow. You know,
Mm.
so I'm very thankful for that project. And yeah, the whole idea was just simply be honest and just be myself. You know, and learn and grow through the experience. You know, and I'm just happy that it's out and
Yeah, it's
you
a
know
really beautiful
people
record.
liked it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
folks, go
Mhm.
and check it out. I think there's a Bandcamp. That's usually the best spot to get it. Amazing lineup of musicians, including Mark Shim, who he's certainly from where I'm at. He's very unsung in the UK. Cats don't really talk about him too much. But about 20 years ago, I had his Turbulent Flow record, and there was this version of like Record on Me on it, like reharmonized, and the first bit's in five. And like 20 years ago, I was like, oh my God, what is going on? So now, 20 years on, I can kind of know what's going on a bit better. But also, one of the tunes is called "Don't Wake the Violent Baby," and my wife and I,
Mhm.
if we get up on the wrong side of the bed, we tend to use that phrase now. We're working the violent baby. But anyway, so Mark Shim is on the record. Um, I think my
Yeah, Mark
favorite.
Shim is a
Yeah,
special human, man. He's
yeah.
such a special. Uh, I can't even put words to it. When I first heard Turbulent Flow, I think that was about 20 years ago. I was definitely in college before Juilliard. I did the Dave Brubeck Institute, and it was around that time where me and my friends had discovered that album, and yeah, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand it, but I knew I wanted to understand it,
Mm.
you know. And yeah, Mark is a dude that I was fortunate enough to meet when I first moved to New York, and he's a huge influence and a major mentor in my life
Wow.
for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. One of the standout tracks for me is "Entering Purgatory." I love that one, and there's that very rarely heard Tony Williams track, right? Circa 45, is
Hmm.
it? That was cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Um. Well, starting with Tony, he's Tony Williams. I mean, I don't. I mean, Tony came into my life fortunately at a young age, and of course I gravitated towards his drumming. But the older I got, um, I felt like his composing was overlooked, and
mm,
that was something people really didn't shine light on too much,
mm,
and I feel like being an innovator of fusion, I just wanted to pay homage to that, and homage to him because yeah, he's one of the guys who entered my life and changed, you know, my views about music,
mm.
So that was just to give homage to him and to give ode to his musical writing, and yeah, that's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Awesome.
Entering Purgatory is literally that. Like,
It's really
it's
insistent that the
Yeah.
melody's like,
yeah, yeah, it's one of those things where I think with my tunes, especially with those tunes, whether I had a title in the moment right then and there, or whether the title came later, I
mm,
always tried to look within myself of what was happening during that time. The
mm,
piece came about, and yeah, that was just a lot of self judgment, and also realizing, I like to say that I'm a vessel essentially, but realizing there's a higher power and there's a higher source, and it's not to say that you will be judged someday, but the things you hold, I mean, I guess the best example is like, if you make a mistake, okay, you learn from that mistake. If you
mm,
make a mistake twice, then you're kind of digging yourself in a hole. So it's kind of like this thing to where like know what type of person you are, and and be honest to what you give, you know, because it will come back in some sort of way that you give it, you know. So if I'm giving out negative energy, I feel like I'll receive that back, you know. If I'm giving out positive energy, I'll receive that back. So it's not necessary. I mean, the idea of entering purgatory, yeah, it's like Armageddon, like, you know, the apocalypse, and you know, the rapture coming in, hell on earth. And it kind of feels like that a little bit at times, but yeah, that's kind of how at least I feel about that song. And at least during that time, I felt like I was kind of like in the wrong area of things, going down the wrong path, making wrong decisions, and learning how to be accountable, holding those decisions, you know. So that's kind of the backstory behind that.
Yeah. Great. Well, so most of you will probably know Justin's work with Ambrose or with Kenny Garrett, but there's a load of Gerald Clayton albums that I really, really like. I strongly suggest you check out. I think in some kind of reverse chronological order, there's this one, Tributary Tales. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
Life Forum, this is great as well. This is super great. And I really like this one. I really love your playing on this one, man.
Oh, wow.
Man, this beautiful. What is that going back a bit or something?
Yeah, that was a great fun recording. And all those recordings with Gerald. I mean, Gerald's my bro. I'm actually gonna link up with him tomorrow. We're gonna do a show. But yeah, he's my bro, and just like Ambrose and a lot of people who I'm involved with musically, I'm very thankful that I've, you know, been able to grow a personal relationship with them, you know. And Gerald is definitely my bro. You know, we used to be roommates. We met when we were 18, and we've been through a lot together, you know. So that's always, you know, humbling to be able to do what you love with your friends. And
you sound great on those records.
And Philip Dizak is, man, I love that guy. And he invited me to play, I think, 2 songs on that album. And one of the songs I'm laughing because in the studio, I think we did 2 or 3 takes, and at least 2 of the takes I blindfolded myself. So I couldn't see anything on purpose, just so I can really, really focus in and keen in on the music.
Cool.
And I really liked that song, and yeah, that was a fun experience, man.
Nice. So one of your tune titles, Justin, reminds me of something that Dave Manington might call a tune, Jupiter's Giant Red Spot. Dave, if you had a tune on one of your records called that, I wouldn't be too surprised. But so, folks, when I knew I was going to record that tune, I knew I needed a bass player who can kind of handle odd times and some weird stuff, and Dave's definitely one of those people who loves to do that. And so, Dave, I realized, because we haven't really like played that much together, right? So I want to ask you, you know, how did you kind of get into like odd timey sort of things? And you know what I mean? How did you first become exposed to those sort of sounds?
I actually, when I was at college, I got the opportunity to play in a Bulgarian band, which was great. And there was actually in Walthamstow there was a guy. We played violin, and he introduced me to a whole little scene of Balkan music, and I got in this. So I was playing Balkan music for a few years there, and that's really where I got exposed to it. And we used to do these crazy gigs at festivals playing Balkan music, and I ended up playing with a Romanian singer, and all kinds of, you know, you just kind of get picked up because he can play the bass, you know. And I didn't know any of the repertoire beforehand, and you know, you have to kind of, I mean, it's easy. It's 3 chords, 4 chords, or something. You just need to get into the 7/8 or the 5/8 or the 11 or whatever it is. So that was, I guess that's how I got into it. And then I started to get into like you you know, like Mark Shim and people who were playing jazz with Odd Times, and I guess all of my contemporaries were into the same thing. So people like Ivo and other guys, we were experimenting with that stuff at the time as well. So yeah,
wicked.
I've always loved that kind of stuff.
There's something quite cool that it came from, like, I feel like from music that's traditional folkloric music, as opposed to like, because sometimes, you know, with odd meters, it's like you sort of think of some scientist in a lab, like cooking up some weird, you know, rhythms, and that's, and I guess sometimes it sounds like that too, which is bad, but I think you can hear it in your music. It's the, you know, it's about the phrases, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's got to be something that you could I think anyway, it's got to come from some, you know, ideally something you could dance to, or the groove or the melody or whatever the hook is, has to be something that's natural and not too, for me anyway, when it's too mathematic, it's it puts me off.
Yeah. You know. Tell me about, okay, so folks, I haven't really told you much about Dave, in case anyone doesn't know. So Dave has his own band. It's called Riff Raff. It's really killing, and he's also you're a co-leader, right, Dave, of Solstice, or is that Sideman? Yeah.
It's a democratic band, which is how it brings its own problems, but that's yeah, it's nice.
Cool. Yeah, so Solstice, amazing band, and also Dave plays as a sideman with loads of people. One of the really famous ones is Marius Nesset, for example. People probably know him. Hey, Brandon's here. What's up, Brandon? How's it going, man? So Dave, Challenger Deep. Talk to me about this. Talk to me about Challenger Deep. If anyone doesn't know what Challenger Deep is, tell us what it is.
Okay, well, this is the name of my last album, and it's the deepest point of the Pacific Ocean. And I guess when I was writing that album, around that time I was just getting into one of those little internet wormholes where you go down the rabbit hole, and I was watching videos of them going down in submersibles to the bottom of Challenger Deep, and you can watch on YouTube. You can watch old videos of the craft going along the bottom and all of the weird creatures and.
Well, David, it just so happens that I have prepared a little video,
a little montage.
It's not Challenger Deep. It's just one video down the. Now my wife is going to kick my ass because she says, "Talk about music. Don't talk about non-music." Anyway, I'm sorry, my love. I'm just going to talk about fish for a second because I think it's my second favorite thing, third favorite thing after music, wife, and then maybe. Anyway, Mariana Trench. So this is 8 kilometers, 8 kilometers below the surface of the sea, and this is on like the submersible security camera thing. This isn't even like properly filmed. Yeah, this is an actual thing. Some new kind of species of snailfish, apparently. 8 kilometers down there, guys. So Dave, man, I think
this is it.
I think this trio, our trio, is called Snailfish. Okay, done. All right. So, all right, guys. Sorry. Okay, that's enough of the pitch chat. I promise. Thank you, everyone. Please come back. Don't leave just yet. All right. So I've got some questions for you both. Just kind of open questions, which I've borrowed from my friends at the Guitar Hour podcast. They ask people these questions. What are your best gigs? Like your best gig ever, either watching or playing, and your worst gig ever, watching or playing. So I don't know who wants to go first. Has someone got a favorite or a worst one? The worst ones are probably the funnier ones, right? That you can say. Dave, you want to buy Justin? Bad ones out there. I don't know, Justin. You want to go?
Oh man, that's really. I
have plenty of worst ones. That's fine.
Yeah. Worst ones are I don't know if we should talk about the bad ones. Maybe we should talk about the good ones.
Yeah, let's focus. Let's focus on the positive.
Some amazing gigs. Justin, I saw you play, Justin, in Jazz of Vienna, that festival. You remember that place?
Yeah,
You were there with
yeah,
Ambrose.
of course,
That place
of
is
course.
incredible. Massive
Yeah,
amphitheater.
man.
Oh, that was an
Yeah,
amazing.
that was an amazing experience for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and Legendary Festival, of course. You know, I definitely have some bootlegs from that festival. You know, of many artists. But yeah, man. Yeah, well,
Just
I
like
guess we
favorite
were
gigs.
talking about your favorite gig. Man, that's really tough. I would have to say, when I play a gig, I feel my best for some reason. Since we're talking about water, is when I've swam or been in the ocean. For some reason, I feel like if I've been in the ocean or been at the beach or have swam or been affiliated with water, I'm so much more calmer at a gig that night, that
Mm,
evening.
mm,
That's always a cool thing when that happens.
mm.
And my favorite gig seeing, jeez, man. I mean, it would have to be in between seeing Brian Blade for the first time at 15 years old, and although I got to see Dennis Chambers when I was young, but seeing Dennis Chambers on a New Year's Eve gig at the Iridium in New York, and I think he was maybe 44 or 45 at the time. But it was the first time a drummer had brought me to tears during a drum solo.
Wow.
And it was really cool. Yeah, I was with someone at the time, and she surprised me. She was like, "Hey, you want to go see this show around the corner?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we went, and it was Dennis Chambers, and his playing was just phenomenal. To see him, at that time in a healthy condition
Mm.
and a man of that age who had done so much when they gave it to him. I mean, it was something I can't really words can't really be I can't really put the words together to describe the feeling of the how much emotion he was conveying and just how much power and facility he had around the kid. He was just so in demand that I felt like I was watching an Elvin Jones or Tony Williams or
Mm, mm,
someone of that caliber, Billy Cobham, and it's just something about that moment, that show. It was like, okay, if you really, really, really want to do this, then you're gonna have to go a bit deeper, you know. And I literally I shedded a tear.
yeah.
I just couldn't believe what I was hearing and feeling
Mm.
all at the same time, and the way he was playing, it was like I knew all the Dennis Chambers stuff, but the language, it was like he was speaking in,
Mm.
in that moment in such a different way, that I was just like, man, this is Jesus of drums. Like,
Sure.
this is
Yeah, man.
this is another entity that's going down right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to say it'd be in between those two. And yeah, Brian Blair I saw with Joshua Redman.
Awesome.
That was special. It was like really, really amazing.
Was that the mood swings um,
I'm
thing?
sure it was, because at that time I was just getting into jazz and getting into modern jazz
Mm.
at that time and what was happening during that time. So that was, if not my first jazz show,
Mm.
like going to a small theater and
Mm.
sitting down and checking out a quartet, like that was like my first experience. There were other experiences where it was more so like master classes or seeing people play in in the Bay Area growing up, but I think I was around 14 or 15. I had never been to a jazz club or anything like that. So I think that was the first time I experienced like, oh, we're going to go to a jazz show and
Yeah.
check out Redmond. And it's actually really special. I was in high school, a freshman in high school. Jonathan Finlayson and Ambrose Akamusiri were there. And the funniest thing was that I can remember is Jonathan Finlayson looked over at me. We actually went to their sound check, but he looked over at me and he said, have you ever seen Brian Blade before? And I said, no. And he said, "Well, prepare to get cut."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh wow, oh shit, okay." And that was my introduction to Brian Blade and like a kind of a jazz experience, you
Yeah.
know, being around cats and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. Oh man, I I've seen Brian Blade a number of times. I think one of the most amazing times was at the Gnawa Festival, which is this festival in Essaouira in Morocco, where they have loads of Gnawa music. People, you might know it. They've got these castanets. This kind of swing feel is really, really amazing. And Wayne Shorter's band was kind of headlining. It's a world music festival, but Wayne was headlining. And at the end of the gig, this Marlon, like the Gnawa master musician, along with his band, kind of got up and joined Wayne's band. And it was just so amazing. But
Wow.
the way that they swing, this it's kind of like samba swing, but slower. And they've also got a thing that's kind of in three. I know they're not thinking anything about numbers. It's just a feeling. But Brian Blade, you could see he was like listening, and he was like, okay, like, yeah, this is, but there was just a moment of pausing where he was going like, wow, this is deep. This, they were kind of meeting, the groove kind of took a little second to meet, and then it met, and it was beautiful. Yeah, I've seen him so many times. What about you, Dave? You seen him, when's the last time that you saw Brian Blade? How's that for a specific question?
Well, I mean, what I was going to say, one of the best gigs I've ever seen, I think it was the Wayne Shorter Quartet when that first record came out and that first tour, and they were, I mean, it was unbelievable. And I think we were very near the front. And it was in it was either the Barbican or the Festival Hall, so it's big venue. But if you get right down the front, you get the sound from the stage, And I was right by Brian Blade, and he was absolutely, you couldn't take your eyes off him. He was electric, and just everyone's just waiting. It's it's all the tension and release with that band, isn't it? It's like we're going to build up the tension and they're ramping it up for 8-10 minutes, ramping up the tension, and then you're waiting, you're watching him, and then he'll hit it, and the whole band will hit it together, and it's like, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. That was what it was about for me. That band is all the tension, and kind of it felt like Wayne and the others were kind of gradually winding him up, kind of winding Brian up and waiting for him to explode, and then he'd explode, and the whole band would explode.
Wow!
And I just thought it was incredible. But actually, I saw him another time at the Vortex, which, Justin, is like a really small. It's like the 55 bar, I guess, or something. And it's really intimate, and it's a great place and I saw Brian Blade there. I think it was Wolfgang Mushfield Trio when they were touring. They had a few albums as a trio, and he just played Brushes all night, and it's a small club and really intimate. He played Brushes all night, but again, he was just electric. Everything he played was just on edge. But I mean, I don't mean on edge time-wise. His time is impeccable, but just on edge. Excitement, energy, just with Brushes. I don't think he played Sticks all night. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Guys, I could chat all day, but I'm conscious that people probably have places to be. So we'll think about winding it up now. So this next video, the final video. So after this video, it's going to be the end of the stream, chaps. And I've been playing this tune for about 10 years. This is the final version. I'm never playing this tune again. Seriously, I'm never playing it. It's done. And this version, I think, is really good. Justin just brought, it's unbelievable, Justin. Thank you so much, man, for bringing your musicianship to this. No, I'm serious, man. Well, you play at the beginning, this bit, you are just playing so out. It seems like you're ignoring the time, but you just go ding on the cymbal, right where one is, a couple of times, just to be like, I know where I am. I know where I am. And then
I would say this version was definitely a loose version.
It's great, man. It's so great, and that's it. To be loose on those kind of forms, and when the form is complex. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Not to have to be.
Yeah, and I was just trying to keep up with Dave.
Well, actually, I should say on this one, this is Dave looks a little different because it's actually Tom Farmer on the bass. I'm
Oh
working with
snap!
Dave.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
I sound great. I sound great on this one.
yeah, yeah, Dave.
killing it, bro. Oh my
Yeah.
This is
gosh.
one of my best. This is my best
Oh my
work.
bad.
No, but take the credit, Dave. Take the credit.
I will, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Dave, thank you so much for playing and having a bit of a chat, man, and hanging out and bringing your musicianship. Justin, thank you so much, man. Over there in California.
Oh, I have a question for Dave. Have you heard of Farmers Market? Although they're not Bulgarian.
Yes, I love Farmers Market.
They're
Yeah,
so cool.
Incredible.
the Norwegian
Yeah.
band who plays Balkan music.
Yes, they are.
But no, man,
they
thanks
are.
for having me, Ant. This
No.
was great.
I'm so glad, Justin, man. Yeah, just thank you. And I really hope to hear you play again soon, man. And maybe if I can pin you down, even get you get to play with you one day. So thank you for the inspiration over the years, man. I mean that seriously. Like you're an ongoing
Right on,
inspiration
I appreciate it.
to a lot of us over here. So thank you, man. All right.
Thank you, man.
All right, guys. That's it. Thank you for joining us. This is The Last Tune. Over and out. See you soon, everyone. Stay safe.
Take two.